So page 358 in your textbook is a really important page for reviewing the triangle congruence conditions. And please know that you need all of these words. If all three pairs of corresponding sides have equal lengths, then the triangles are congruent. So you need to know more than just the abbreviation for these theorems. You need to be able to support using the theorems by writing a meaningful statement that includes all the right information. You also want to know what a diagram looks like, a marked diagram, so that as you analyze triangle pairs and you mark the congruences you see, you are recognizing the pattern here. Side, included angle, side, angle, included side, angle, 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 side, and when given right angles, you have the hypotenuse and leg. Now notice that this is the one case where side-side angle works. When the angle is a 90-degree angle, there's only one possible triangle here when this angle doesn't lock the two sides in place. So we call that hypotenuse leg and say that if the hypotenuse and a leg of one right triangle, this word here, right triangle is important, have the same lengths as the hypotenuse and a leg of another triangle, right triangle, the triangles are congruent. So establish a relationship with this math notes box and take a look at exercise 6-33. Suppose you're working on a problem involving the two triangles UVW and XYZ, and you know that they are congruent to each other in this way. Triangle UVW is congruent to triangle XYZ. What can you conclude about the sides and angles of these two triangles? So let's go ahead and write down everything we know. We're given this congruence statement. Triangle UVW is congruent to triangle XYZ. Well, because these two segments are in the first position in the name, we can say that segment UV is congruent to segment XY. We can say that segment VW is congruent to segment YZ. We can say that segment WU is congruent to segment ZX. We can say that angle U is congruent to angle X. We can say that angle V is congruent to angle Y. We can say that angle W is congruent to angle Z. So we have 6 congruences that we can establish from this one statement. And that will be important information to remember as we move on from proving triangles are congruent to actually proving that parts of triangles are congruent. Now, the other thing we talked about a little bit in class today was moving from a flowchart proof to a 2-column proof. In a 2-column proof, we have facts on the left, we have reasons on the right, and we know that the reason for the facts in the first position is always going to be given. And we know that the last fact is always going to be that which we set out to prove. For every fact, there is a reason. So facts and reasons will always line up. Let's take a look at a how-to game. That lets us look at some triangle proofs. We're going to go to the Introductory Proofs with Triangles game. And we're going to take a look, analyze this very busy page. I see an overlapping pair of triangles. I think that given KP perpendicular to AB, so here's some given information here. And we're asked to prove KAP is congruent to KBP. So we know that given is always in this position. We know that that which we set out to prove is always in this position. And I wonder if this will let us mark KB. Yes, so mark the triangles as you read the givens. KP is perpendicular to AB, that's what gives us the right triangle. AK is congruent to BK, mark that. And we have this reflexive side here, KP is congruent to KP. Now take a look at reason number 4, KP is congruent to KP, we know that's a reflexive side. So find the reason reflexive and change that. So we're able to change these reasons over here. So this is good practice in seeing how a two-column proof is formatted and in choosing reasons. APK is a right angle. BPK is a right angle. We know that by definition of perpendicular. Remember, in the givens, they gave us the perpendicular side, but we had to come to a conclusion about what that meant. Perpendicular lines form right angles, so read through all the reasons and find the one that fits the best. Triangle APK and triangle BPK are right triangles. Let's see if we can find a good reason for this. It's not given, but it is by definition of right triangle. It is a triangle that includes a right angle. KP is reflexive. Now triangle APK is congruent to triangle BPK. By what theorem did we use hypotenuse leg? Well, we have a leg and another leg followed by an angle. Yes, that's hypotenuse leg theorem. Angle KAP is congruent to angle KBC. Well, we just proved that these two triangles were congruent, therefore corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. We can say that angle A is congruent to angle B because we proved that triangle KAP was congruent to triangle KBP. So corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Now when you use that reason, you'll need to use all of the words, and I'm unable to write on this page, so I'm going to flip over here and I'm going to change color. This is an important abbreviation and it stands for the theorem corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Make yourself a note of that and learn that theorem. So let's check. Let's see if all of our reasons are logical. We are correct. And let's try a new proof. So I see a reflexive pair here And I'm told that P is the midpoint of AE, so that makes AP congruent to PE, and you should mark these as you go. P is the midpoint of BK, so that makes BP congruent to BK. So I'm looking here at a side angle side proof. So I'm going to go ahead and include side angle side here. I'm going to go ahead and make this given. BP is congruent to PK, it says, so I'm going to analyze what it says here in step 2. BP is congruent to PK, and AP is congruent to PE. Well, that's by definition of midpoint. And angle APB congruent to angle EPK. There's my vertical angles. APB, EPK, I didn't see it. Did I miss it? Ah, here we go. Vertical angles are congruent. And we have a proof. This is it. Our steps and reasons are, my facts are on the left and my reasons are on the right. I'm going to click check, and we are correct. So make an effort to get 10 correct. Take a screenshot and post this to the assignment page called Introductory Proofs with Triangles. You have until Wednesday at 4 to get 10 correct, but I think you could probably do it if you apply yourself now. There are some written exercises due tonight as well, so prioritize. Pace yourself to finish by Wednesday.